Yarechi yaro! Maido kite kurete arigato! Hello, Wasteland! Yes, welcome back, brothers! That's right, we are here for Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition for January 2023, the fourth season of this competition, boys and girls. I'm your host, James Hall of JH Miniatures, and this month has been brought to you by John Hayward over at Hayland Wargames Terrain. That's right, check out the link down below. I mean, come on guys, if you've been living under a post-apocalyptic rock all this time, how have you not heard of Hayland Wargame Terrain? They've been sponsoring this competition for the last 4 years, and they have a beautiful array of 28mm medieval and sci-fi themed miniatures, alongside, of course, their Gaslands resin and Gaslands 3D printable files for all of you at-home manufacturers, shall we say. And as well, they are constantly pushing the envelope and bringing out brand new products because they have the new Pirates of the Dread Sea 3D printable game range for all of you scurvy scallywags who want to fight on the high seas, as well as the Across the Dead Earth brand new 28mm post-apocalyptic tabletop skirmish wargame, and some brand new resin miniatures for that. Oh yes. So to celebrate the fourth season of Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition, and to start this year off right, so first place will win, of course, a £30 online gift card for the Hayland Wargame Terrain website. Second place will win a £20 gift voucher, and third place will win a £10 gift voucher. So as always, intense burning generosity from this month's sponsor, John Hayward, so thank you so much, and check out their link in the description down below. But with prizes like these, what was the theme for this month? Well, John wanted to start off this year right, and you know what? We're right behind him because he wanted to see something really out there, something really far east, something oriental. He wanted a Japanese themed month. We're thinking samurai, we're thinking giant robots, we're thinking, well, Japanese racing culture. We're thinking the big, the bad, the crazy, the Bosuzoku, the Dekotora, the Miyazaki. Oh yes, we are talking big, flashy Japanese cars and trucks and vehicles. So this month your car had to be Japanese themed. Oh yes, and you guys did not disappoint. So let us have a look at everyone who finished. We have, out of this month, we had 34 finished entrants. 34. Now we're starting the year off strong, brothers. So we had from the top, Brett Nugent, Caleb Hines, Clint Cook, Damien Sailors, Daniel Mumford, Dan Caswell, David Bousset, David Goch, Daz Phillips, Hardo Pius, Ingvar Niebsen, John Martin, John Bogdonsky, Keith Ambrose, Kev Williams, Mark Freeman, Matt Andrews, Matt Morrill, Matt Whittam, Michael Mersey, Nathan Coolmans, Nava Fishman Shari, Nick Kitch, Odd Job Mod, which I'm guessing is just a username, Princept One, Retno Indar, Richard Hubbard, Diego Maya, Tobias Hutton, Tony Peacock, Travis Bedwell, Travis Usner, and of course, William Burke. So let us start this month, let us start this year off strong, boys and girls, and let us see how high the bar has been set for this competition by looking at the very first entry of 2023 from the Car of the Year winner for 2022. That's right, let's have a look at Dave Bousset's entry. Oh yes, and David just continues his wonderful streak of these just beautifully converted and painted and photographed on a plain white background, boys and girls. I hope you're taking notes. Which, oh my goodness, just look at this build. Very, very Hello Kitty, very Bosuzoku with that extended front ram, and I think David was the only person this year to actually do the star-shaped exhaust, which is incredibly popular in the Japanese underground racing scene, but almost none of you did it, except for David. So absolute credit to you, my friend, for going with that. You do the absolute classic of actually using a pen to write on the Japanese calligraphy, which is how it should be done, because if you don't feel confident with a paintbrush, use a pen. Well done, 100% this. Everyone take notes. This is what Car of the Year winners are made out of, boys and girls. And as you can see from the beautiful star on the hood and the 84 on both side doors, wonderful stencil work. Absolutely fantastic. I think considering how clean, and I know it sounds a bit daft because when you get into the panel lines, it's quite grimy, but considering how pristine and white and pristine and bubblegum pink the car is, to then look at the driver and passenger and just see how dirty the Hello Kitty sort of helmet masks are, they feel a little bit out. I would have either wanted them to be lighter or the overall car, like just one or two of the panels to be a bit dirtier, a bit grungier. I think that would have really worked, David. But my goodness, I have to try to find bad things to say about this build, don't I? And if we're talking about David, we need to talk about his rival from 2022. That's right, we are talking about Darren Phillips's entry and this beautiful... If we're going from Bosuzoku on one end of the scale, we are looking at Decotora, gigantic decorated lorries on the other end of the scale. Oh my goodness. And can we just say, as a lovely little bonus, the little RC bomb car coming out the back of the lorry trailer there looks remarkably familiar to our previous contestant we've just looked at. It's leaning really heavy into that sort of Japanese manga cel-shaded look. I think the issue I have is it doesn't stay in one lane. It goes from graphic art style with very thick, very cel-shaded, very blocky kind of lines and highlights. But then you look at the rusted metal sections and the dusting and the oil barrel firing contraption in the middle of the trailer, and they just don't seem to sort of fit. And I think that's where it loses it for me. And if we're nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Decatora. It doesn't do it for me. But the actual execution here is beautifully done. And yes, the Hello Kitty is absolutely fabulous. The level of quality that we have come to expect from you, Darren. Fantastic work. Looking at our next contestant. Tell you what, let's stay on this trend. Let's have a look at another big, heavy rig. We have Richard Hubbard's entry. Oh yes, it's your boy Richard, back at it again, boys and girls. 2022 wasn't enough, he had to come back and do it all again for 2023. I mean, this is heavily Japanese themed, isn't it? It's a bullet train with a nice compact car and all these wonderful little Japanese fighter bombers, which I can only imagine with the guy controlling them from the back. Very much RC bomb cars in-game, but on the miniature, RC bomb airplanes works absolutely fantastically, flavour-wise. What kills me with this is the photography, because I want to say, do you photograph with the flash on your camera? Because some of these details are just getting washed out. And no amount of photo manipulation brings them back. Like, you've got some beautiful lettering going on here that you've done by hand. You've either painted it or used a pen, but it's just really hard to see in some of the pictures. And I genuinely think it's the photography now rather than the build quality. Because your work has come along in leaps and bounds, as I said in the Car of the Year video. This is fantastic stuff. I just want to be able to see it clearly, and I genuinely think you're using the flash or something, and that's what's washing it out. As always, fantastic work, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with in February's Car of the Month competition. Following on the trend of enormous, gigantic builds, we have Nathan Kuhlman's entry. Oh yes, a very traditional Decatora, made out of what I can only presume is a school bus, because it is not a lorry, boys and girls. This is definitely a bus. But this is the level of quality here. All of those chrome accessories you see on there, he's made himself. That's not stock, that's not standard. He's had to build that or 3D print that or mold that. So absolutely fantastic work, because the paint job, it tricks the eye. You genuinely think that this is an off-the-shelf model. I mean, let's face the elephant in the room here. The paintwork on this is just divine. I mean, the samurai, the dragon, mate, you are nailing that look. You are absolutely nailing it. What doesn't do it for me is just how shiny and clean this is, because I really feel if this is going to be a Wasteland build, it needs to look like it would work in the Wasteland. I can't fault the build. I cannot fault the build at all, because the additions are subtle. The twin chain guns built into the front wheel arches are fine. They're absolutely fine. I've got no issue with those at all. You know, this is a Wasteland competition, and I want to see dust, and I want to see grime, and I want to see a higher body profile. But the actual level of work here is just off the charts. It really is off the charts. My goodness. Like, the freehand work really is beautiful. And you've done that yourself by hand. There's no shadow of a doubt. That is a work of art that you've made there. But absolutely fantastic work, Nathan Coolmans. And then we have Daniel Mumford's entry. Oh, yes. And what an enormous beast of an entry this is. My goodness. Only the insane brilliance of Daniel could come up with the idea of taking a London double-decker bus and then attaching, well, it's a multi-tiered shanty. It's almost got a bit of a Brazilian sort of the favelas building on the side of this double-decker bus. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's got a real unique feel to it, but at the same time, it's a little rough around the edges. There's a lot of detail, but then there's a lot of very flat, empty areas. And I think that's a universal problem we will always have when it comes to these enormous builds. It's what do you do to fill the space? And Daniel's solution here has been to build this. Well, it's not just the double-decker bus, is it? It's actually the trailer at the back has been sort of permanently welded on to lengthen it, to extend it. I mean, that's what you see with those wonderful I-beams connecting up to the top, like, third floor of the building on the very top of the bus there. The giant guns on top just kill me, because they just... I mean, they're iconic, but they just look like they're going to fall off. There's no points of attachment. I mean, they've just been glued on and painted, haven't they, boys and girls? Like, any form of attachment would work there. In the same way, you look at the rest of this build, and it's all connected so beautifully with I-beams and bolts and chains and wires and cables and all the things that are required to make this thing believable. But then the flat, rusty, metal-y, concretey textures of some of the walls, and it's like, oh, just put some riveted metal sheeting on the side, done, and that can be a window, or that can be an armor panel. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And it's such a shame, because some of it is so good, like the little electrical boxes, and that is the simplest but most effective technique for making like a Chinese style lantern. Like, just paint a bead red, there you go. it's a lantern. What more do you need? How can we not look at Diego Maya's entry with this beautiful Japanese, well, I'd normally say Spitfire or something like that, but it's not. It's a Japanese World War II attack plane, isn't it? You'll have to forgive me, World War II nerds. Su-22 or something? Is that what it is? But yeah, a World War II Japanese fighter plane attached to the classic quintessential monster truck chassis and wheels, which you've painted enormous white wall tyres on, which it just goes straight to my heart. I'm a massive fan of white wall tyres, and carry the motif nicely of the gigantic red rising sun of the Japanese flag. I think what gets me is the fact that it's not the most complex build. Like, this is something we all do at some point. We all think, whoa, wouldn't it be good to have a plane on wheels in the Wasteland? But don't shy away from taking those wings off, because at the end of the day, you're not building a plane, you're building a car, or in this case, a monster truck. And those wings, as beautiful as they can be, they get in the way. They get in the way of the build. You see a lot of concept art for this kind of thing, and the wings are the first thing to go. I mean, it's got a beautiful silhouette, but it's a bit more plane than it is monster truck. There's something about the metal kind of framework you've built around the plane. I just don't buy that would be enough to hold it to the monster truck. I mean, it is a fantastic entry. Also, I gotta say this, the dust and dirt on just the tops of the monster truck wheels, that doesn't make any sense. All right, it's going to be all around the tire. It's not just going to be trapped in the middle or on the top. It's going to be around the bottom. It's going to be around the sides. I get the feeling you did the dry brushing top down, which is fine for things like the wheel wells or the inside of those hubs. But for a lot of this, it just doesn't make sense, my friend. But a brilliant entry, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with for February's competition. But let us move on from looking at gigantic war rigs and trailers and gigantic planes on wheels to looking at something a bit closer to this competition's heart. And what better place to start than with Keith Ambrose's entry. Now, this gets me, Keith, because as beautiful as this converted and painted Miyazaki Pikachu-themed build is, the actual modification is pretty minimal. I mean, you've changed the wheels and you've added a little bit more to the skirting, to the body panels, and you've added a bit of a radiator up front, but there's just nothing that drags it into the wasteland. There's nothing. I mean, okay, you painted Miyazaki on it. Fantastic. Just the name is not enough. Now, don't get me wrong. I like my weapons or my vehicles to be subtle. I'm not one to be like, wow, cover it, machine guns, rockets and spikes. You know, I want it to be controlled. But there is just nothing here. And as beautiful as the wheels are with those alloys, as beautiful as the underbody neon lights are with the LEDs that you've fitted, it just doesn't scream Gaslands and Wastelands to me. And that's the key. Because if we go from looking at your entry, Keith, and have a look at Matthew Whittam's entry, oh my goodness, Matthew, what a way to raise the bar. This is the thing, boys and girls. It's not just enough to build a beautiful car or paint a beautiful car. You have to combine them with the theme of the month. And this is the thing. You take away the little Hello Kitty logo, you look at this and your mind is immediately taken to a Too Fast, Too Furious Tokyo Drift style environment, isn't it? This is a Need for Speed Underground style build. It has the neon lights. It has the rough and ready metal chipped, damaged bodywork. It has, okay, it's got the miniguns, but it has that aggressive profile that just looks like it can just run laps round you and then crash into you and speed off without acting like it felt a thing. For me, what kills it is the fact that this is a very, very blue car. It has 2 red lights on it. That's it. There are 2 little red sensors on the miniguns, and that it is. It is black and it is white and it is blue, and that is it. Matthew, I would love to see a second accent colour on this besides white. Okay, just a little bit of yellow or orange or something to pop out against it. But if we are talking about big blue machines, how can we not talk about Tony Peacock's entry, which I will grant you is not blue, my friends. It's more of a teal. The king of purple returns to this competition once again after a little bit of a hiatus last year. I know you entered once or twice, but you never really hit the mark a couple of times. But we won't hold it against you, Tony. I mean, this is a beautiful piece of work. Again, it is subtle. It is Wasteland. I would love to see you have replaced those stock Matchbox wheels because they're killing me. But at the same time, the little body panel extras, little bits of armor, little turbos and engine components that you've added on. The Hello Kitty is nicely done. The lovely cherry blossom tree branches that you have going down either side. Such a simple technique, but works so well. Believe me, boys and girls at home looking at this, study that side panel. It is not as complex as it looks. There is a framework of the branch, there are some dark pink areas and there are some bright pink areas, and that is it. And it works so well. The scratches, the damage to the bodywork is lovely. I just wish that you just push the Wasteland aesthetic more. If this was raised off the ground a bit on a 4x4 like frame, if it had bigger, chunkier tyres, if it had some dust, if it had a ram, if the gun was a bit less confusing as to what it actually does. Is it a bit more like a laser or a flamethrower? It's losing me a little bit. I want to see more armour panelling than just one piece of metal stuck on the passenger side door. And that's it. You know, it is a beautiful, beautiful entry, but it's just so close. What a first entry for 2023, Tony. Oh my goodness. Coming back, one of the first kings of this competition. Oh yes. It's good to see you back in the race, my friend. How could I not talk about my boy William Burke's entry? Oh yes. Now, don't get me wrong, William, we're not here to talk about the execution, and we're not here to talk about the conversion. We're just here to talk about that outrageous theme you've come up with. It's an enormous sumo lad painted onto a VW Beetle. I mean, the rocket launchers kill me because they're so bad. They're just painted onto bits of plastic. You've not even, like, drilled holes or anything. Like, come on, William. I mean, the machine gun at least works. You know, I could identify that as a machine gun, but those plastic clips you've used to make the rocket launchers, that's terrible. But come on, I mean, we're just being mean, aren't we? Because look at that sumo wrestler. Oh, he's having a great time, isn't he? With his enormous girth. painted all over it. Painted all over that body. Oh my goodness. I mean, there is some nice work going on here. It's not all just jokes and memes. I mean, the corrosion, the damage around the actual body of the VW, like around the ram, the front and rear bumpers, perfect. Don't get me wrong, I think that's great. There is some armour panelling. There is that wonderful mesh. I don't know if they would paint directly onto the mesh, but regardless, you're seeing the sumo wrestler, whether you like it or not. He's there. He's big. He's a big, happy lad with his red eyes, and he's coming to get you. Oh, yes, William. What a brilliant entry. Love it. Absolutely love it. And then, finally, shall we all just take a moment to admire some of the stranger things that have come out of this month, like Odd Job Mod and Princept One, both deciding that they didn't want to do a car for the month. They wanted to do a gigantic Truckosaurus for the month. I mean, Odd Job Mod, oh boy, that's that's some rough work, isn't it? Oh, you want to spend a bit more time getting a bit more separation between the metal layers, because it's a bit statue rather than Mecha Godzilla that you're going for. It doesn't look like it would move so well, although the little diorama's nice. But Princept One there with his wonderful Mecha Tyrannosaurus, I feel his little teeny tiny arms are a bit more token than anything. I mean, he's clearly a leg man. Look at those thighs. Look at that wonderful tail and the segmentation. Fantastic. The rusty tank body is a particular delight. But also we had Tobias Hutton and John Bogdonsky, who both decided that they wanted to do a motorcycle for this Car of the Month competition. Tobias Hutton literally dipped into his pocket and just pulled out a pen lid and a biro and a broken lighter and just some rubbish to turn into a motorcycle. But it's done really well. It's a really effective look. I mean, that is fantastic. I just wish that the paint job was a bit better, had a bit more going for it, because it does feel a bit monotone. But then John Bogdonsky's entry, which I think this is the thing, because everyone looks at it and goes, that's out of scale. And yes, it is out of scale, but it's a Hot Wheels motorcycle and they are out of scale. That's the problem. But it is a toy car scale, but you've done a lot of custom modelling work to make this work, and it is really good. I do like it. But again, Gotta get it in the right scale. And you guys, it's a car in the month challenge. We really want to see cars. But as always, there has been so many fantastic entrants this month that we can't possibly talk about them all, which I know breaks each and every one of your hearts. But that's right, boys and girls, it is finally time, my brothers, to announce the very first winner of the 4th season of this fantastic competition here in the Wasteland. So, without any further ado, start the drum roll, brothers, because the winner of Gaslands UK's Car of the Month for January 2023 is Nathan Coolmans. Yes, congratulations, Nathan. Come on down. Oh my goodness, it was a neck-and-neck battle between you and our very close, almost had it, Matt Whittam. However, can I just say what a fantastic entry you have crafted here, my friend. The hand-painted work across this is just next level. I mean, how many of you can say you can just sit down and spit out in 4 weeks a beautiful oriental dragon as well as a wonderful in-theme samurai on the side of a battle bus of this kind of caliber? It is a beautiful Decatura build with all the wonderful handcrafted additions that look like they come straight out of the factory. My goodness. And at the same time, whilst this may not be as dusty and dirty as I like, it has a fantastic silhouette, and I cannot congratulate you enough for winning this month's competition, my friend. So, a £30 gift card is on its way to you as we speak, Nathan. But as I said at the beginning of this video, my brothers, that is not the only winner from this month. Whilst Nathan enters the Hall of Fame for the very first time here in the 4th season of this competition history, we have, of course, a 2nd and a 3rd place. So in 2nd place, in his shining, blazing, infinite generosity, John Hayward over at Halen Wargames Terrain has decided there are 2 2nd place winners. That's right, he has picked none other than previous heavyweight champion Darren Phillips, and Richard Hubbard shall also receive a 2nd place prize. So 2 £20 gift cards, and then in 3rd place, if you thought 2 2nd places was good, then let's do it again for 2 3rd places. That's right, we have Damien Saylor's Chainsaw Man inspired entry getting a £10 gift card alongside Clint Cook's wonderful Decatura build. Oh yes, my goodness, what a beautiful work of art, Clint. And then, of course, as hinted at the beginning of this video, the wild ride doesn't end, because we also have a 1st, 2nd and 3rd place prize for the bonus Hello Kitty round, with even more prizes to be won. So, from the top, we have Daniel Mumford's entry getting 1st place in the Hello Kitty playoffs. A £30 gift card is on its way to you, my friend. Followed, hot on his heels, by the absolute monster John Martin. A £20 gift card is on its way to you. And finally, in joint 3rd place, we have Diego Myers Mitsubishi Hello Kitty Plane on Wheels, as well as, chosen by John Hayward's partner herself, Matt Andrews' entry. Oh yes, the little Zen garden on wheels. What can I say? And if that wasn't enough, yes, boys and girls, there is one final surprise for you all, because again, thank you again so much, John, for sponsoring this competition and continuing to support this fantastic community that we have, because he has given everyone who entered and has not already won a prize, sadly no double prizes this month, everyone who has entered a £5 gift voucher for his store. That's right, boys and girls, everyone's a winner. You get a prize, and you get a prize, and you get a prize. Thank you, boys and girls, and I will see you all in February's Car of the Month video, and goodbye. And I just wanted to close out this episode by saying if you enjoyed this episode, you will have noticed there have been a few changes. Namely, that yes, we are back, boys. We are back on the main official Gaslands UK YouTube channel. What can I say? There's a lot of benefits that come from being here and playing with all these brand new shiny toys. However, the main one is, yes, the merchandise store is up and running as usual. So head on over to Gaslands UK at bigcartel.com and check out the array of t-shirts, hoodies and vinyl stickers and mugs that we have on offer. More content will be coming to this store. It is still early days yet, but rest assured, there's a lot in the pipeline. Thank you.